Hello, everybody. Welcome into another YouTube live show. I am John Kurtz. Today's a special day, my friends. We have earned this day. This day has been long coming, a long time coming for an embattled, beleaguered conference full of fans that have as much passion as anybody. Big, awesome, loud, boisterous fan bases that have been drugged through the mud going back to 2010, thinking the conference is imploding multiple times, being on the brink of death multiple times, and now being the ones running around doing the killing, baby. Colorado is coming to the Big 12. And let me just say an official statement here to all the doubters, Pac12 propaganda machine, everybody out there who said this wouldn't happen, who said 12 and on was just completely out of this world crazy, that we were the problem here. 12 and on was the issue. Here is my official statement. I am headed to the bank to cash my check from Overlord Karen. All hail Overlord Karen tonight, because there was a little something extra in that one after getting Colorado to the Big 12. And man, we might have more too, folks. I'm usually not one for the rumors, but I will comment a little bit on that. And if you've been following Jason Scheer on Twitter, you have a little bit of a heads up as to what that discussion is all going to entail. I see that some of you guys have noticed the shirt that I am wearing. Yes, in my esteemed broadcasting career, I have done plenty of broadcasts for Big 12 Now on ESPN Plus, so I figured I'd bust out one of the old polos. Got one of my old Big 12 Now on ESPN Plus polos for you guys tonight because it felt appropriate. You know, I have the old Big 8 shirt somewhere, but I think when I moved, it got sort of like lost in the shuffle. So I couldn't find the old Big 8 shirt, so I decided next best thing, Big 12 Now on ESPN Plus. Big 8, of course, would have been appropriate with Colorado, an old Big 8 member coming back. But, we're making it work. We're making it work. What do you guys think? You think George is really kicking ass this week or what? I mean, there are so many receipts. I've already seen plenty of them on Twitter. Please keep sending them to me. Tag me in every single one of them, especially when this goes officially official, likely tomorrow, perhaps on Friday. I think it sounds like Friday may be when we officially hear from the Big 12 that this is going to be a done deal. But look, I'll give you all of the timeline here, the reports, how everything went down today in just a moment to kind of reset. But there is going to be a little bit of gloating here. And I just, look, is it a little bit petty for all of us to do? Sure. But as I open the show saying, like, this is a group of fans in this conference that have been through a lot, that have been grave danced on, made fun of, told their league sucks, told that they're stupid, truck stop, 12 and on, all this stuff for so long, man. And I mean, I can vividly remember in 2010 being an intern at Sports Radio 810 in Kansas City and like covering is a pretty loose term for what I was doing back in those days, but covering some of the meetings with, like, I remember waiting for Tom Osborne for like 4 hours outside of a meeting room one time at, I think, the Intercontinental Hotel in Kansas City. I mean, those days, thinking that the conference was going to end because of the Pac-12. And then at another point in time, thinking that this conference may end because of the Pac-12 2 years ago. And I even looked up my pinned tweet. Somebody alerted me to it. I wish I could remember who it was. I'm sorry, I'm not going to get you the appropriate shout out here. But somebody mentioned to me, hey, look at your pinned tweet. My pinned tweet for 23 months, almost to the day, 23 months tomorrow, I will have had the pinned tweet of a rant that I did in 2021, right after all this happened, about anti-Big 12 narratives that were getting out of control because they were saying that the Pac-12 was going to be a much better league than the Big 12. And it's just pretty sweet, man. It's pretty sweet. This does not guarantee the demise of the Pac-12. This does not guarantee like long-term stability for the Big 12 necessarily, but it is certainly a huge win, and it's a big step, and it validates just a lot of what we have been saying here. I mean, not just me, but everybody in this space here on this channel, the 365 guys, Jason Scheer. I mean, he was taking a victory lap, and he absolutely should. There are a lot of people here that have just been dubbed crazy because the Pac-12 folks fancy themselves so damn smart that, of course, they would be the only ones to really figure this out. And instead, they've been trusting the wrong MFer this whole time, which is their commissioner, George Glievkov. So, yeah, we'll be a little bit petty. I mean, I'm trying not to get too crazy over the top with it, but there is just going to be some of that, and that is how it is. This is also, I think, going to be a wild time as we enter this, because now the Pac-12 is going to get unstable. Now somebody has made that first move. Arizona, you're on the clock. Pacific Northwest might be on the clock. Arizona State and Utah, I mean, we'll see what the hell you guys are thinking right now. But by the way, if someone would like to point me to some screenshots from like the Utah message boards right now, I would very much enjoy that as well. So you guys know the big story. You know pretty much what we're talking about the entire show here today. But you also know that you can be a part of the conversation. You can join the celebration. You can gloat, whatever it is that you want to do. I imagine most of this chat tonight is going to be taking the super chats. But if you want to make your voice heard, join in, control some of the content, and support the work that I'm doing to bring you Big 12-centric content, to bring you conference realignment content on a weekly basis, you click the $ below the chat box where it says chat. That is how you get involved on the show here tonight. Let's get rolling, people. You know what? Let me mention, please like the video as well. Like the video. We have 350 people in here, 56 likes on that video. Like the video, totally free. I would appreciate that one click. That would definitely help me out as well. Leave a comment in the comment section, either before, during, or after the show as well. So plenty of ways that you can get involved and help the show. I would typically throw out the Venmo here, but I had a weird login from like New York into my Venmo account. So it is, I believe, still temporarily suspended for right now. So I don't know. Hit me up on Twitter. We'll figure something out if you are catching this late and want to help support the show. All right, we got a lot to get to. Will, what's up, Will? Will says, will Utah get into the Big 12? Man, I mean, that's going to be one of the fascinating angles on this, is like what Arizona State and Utah decide to do. It feels to me like, unless George really pulls something out of a hat with this TV deal, which, by the way, earlier today, Andrew Marchand from the Sports Business Journal, or from the New York Post, and does the podcast, the Orand and Marchand podcast, one of the best voices out there in sports media. He literally had like a minute and a half breakdown today of why the way this Pac-12 TV deal is going is not the way that you get a good TV deal. So it would seem like it's going to be more difficult without Colorado here, and with the appearance that the conference is now on some rocky footing. It feels to me like Arizona is probably going to be inevitable eventually. How long that takes, we'll find out. But man, what does that do to Utah and Arizona State, who have been so staunchly in support of this conference, have thumbed their nose at the Big 12? We shall see what happens there. And again, don't discount the Pacific Northwest. That's what I will just say, like, the winds out there right now are telling us. Do not discount the Pacific Northwest here at this point. So I don't know the answer to that, Will. I do not know the answer to that. R Web, what's up, R Web? You know, R Web was going to be here to throw in some lyrics for us. B Izzo throwing up a rucker, pimping Georgie like a Pac-9 sucker. The Pac-9, thank you for the Pac-9 reference there, R Web. That's why I was saying, like, do we get to call the Pac-12 folks 9 and on now? You know, I mean, we lived through so much 12 and on. Do we get to call them 9 and on? Because that's what it is right now. You got 9 members in this conference after next year. That's the crazy part of this too. I was reminded in this, like, dude, Colorado would be coming next year. Crazy. Let me give you just a brief primer before I get to all your donations. I promise I see them. I will get to them, but I want to make sure everybody knows the specific nuts and bolts details here. The first thing we had today, after just lots of, I mean, the Jason Shears of the world, 365 Sports, like, those guys clearly were picking up on this. Great Flugar, before it actually officially got put out there. But Pete Thamel from ESPN was the first to float, like, hey, Colorado is in very deep, serious talks right now about rejoining the Big 12. That came at like 4 o'clock today, about 4 o'clock Central Time today, a little over 3.5 hours ago. That was the first step. Then we got many more following up saying that they're hearing the same thing. The Athletic, it just hit the circuit. Every major college football media reporter out there was saying the same thing. Interestingly enough, I would say Dennis Dodd was actually like the most cautious with it, saying like, hey, this is still an if, it's not done, but yes, I'm just paraphrasing here, but he's reiterating what everybody else was saying. But then we got this. Brett McMurphy has actually gone out and said, like, it is official. Brett McMurphy has said Colorado to the Big 12 is done. Here is the story from Brett McMurphy of the Action Network. Again, one of the heavy hitters in college football reporting. This is not a guy that's wrong very often. This is not a guy that would just stick his neck out like this for just rumor. Brett McMurphy said, Colorado is leaving the Pac-12 to return to the Big 12, sources told Action Network. The Buffaloes will formally apply for Big 12 membership on Thursday when the Big 12's board of directors will approve the Buffs to begin Big 12 play in 2024. An announcement is expected Thursday, pending official approval from the school's Board of Regents. CU's Board of Regents will meet for a second consecutive day on Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern. So 4 o'clock Central, 5 o'clock Eastern tomorrow. It's actually live streamed. Stuart Mandel had tweeted a link to it. I retweeted it. You can find it on my Twitter feed at JL Kurtz. Somewhere in there if you do want the live link to watch it. These votes, whenever a vote actually happens like this, it has to be a public board meeting. We talked about this before, like weeks ago, when we thought Colorado was maybe lining up to do the same sort of thing where they have the special executive session that's closed and then the vote would actually happen publicly. Now it's actually here. It is actually here. Colorado, this is still from McMurphy's story. Colorado decided to return to the Big 12, sources said, because of several reasons. The Big 12's stability under Commissioner Brett Yormark, a more lucrative financial outlook in the Big 12, the uncertainty of the Pac-12's future without USC and UCLA, and the inability of Pac-12 Commissioner George Kliavkoff to secure a new grant of rights deal in the past 12 months. I would say in all of this, do not discount the role that Brett Yormark played, man. Do not discount the role that Yormark played, which I know is obvious, but I mean, just again, I really don't like being like behind the scenes, what I've heard guy. But I did hear some chatter about like how impressed Oklahoma and Texas have been with the leadership of Brett Yormark, and that, I mean, hey, look, their decisions obviously were already made for reasons that we all understand. But I think there was a feeling like, hey, man, like if this could have been the leadership the Big 12 had beforehand, possibly things go differently. Who knows? And probably not. That was probably always a sort of inevitable move. But the bottom line here is that people have been very impressed with Yormark, and I think it's clear that had to come across to Colorado. I mean, we have some members of the Pac12 propaganda machine whining about Colorado didn't really want to do this, blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't think that they did, but they did. And you know why they did? Because of a difference in leadership between these two leagues. George Kliavkoff has been, even though Yormark has been painted in Pac-12 country as the used car salesman, sleazy guy, he's just been open and effective, open, honest, effective. George Kliavkoff has been the sleazy used car salesman lying behind a mic like he did at Pac-12 Media Days just last week. So pretty clear to me. The other thing that we know, I think, is that Phil DiStefano, the chancellor at Colorado, who last week at about this time had those statements like, hey, we expect to see something tomorrow at this meeting. That was absolutely a threat to the Pac-12 and trying to put pressure on Kliavkoff. He did not produce actual numbers, and now here Colorado is leaving. So there's a lot more to get to. If I have time to get to it in the notes, I'll try and weave it in throughout your questions and comments here, but I know it's loaded right now. It is freaking loaded. Eric, what's up, Eric? Eric Worthen in the house. Appreciate you, Eric. Eric says, what a great day. Can't wait to see the future moves for the Big 12. Oregon is now on the clock. Or is Washington on the clock? I'll leave it at that. But it is a great day. It is a great day for sure for the Big 12. A great day for sure for the Big 12. And I know skepticism coming from folks like, I've seen Texas people tweeting out the record of Colorado. Look, Colorado's been a dumpster fire of a football program basically since they left. There was the report out the other day, like that Colorado had lost out on $70 million by going to the Pac-12. It's not been outside of just being able to fancy themselves among the elites in Berkeley and Palo Alto here with this association with that conference. Like it has not been great on the field, on the court, whatever for Colorado. But they do have a little more juice to them right now because of Dion. And the real point here is, I don't mean to treat Colorado like they're really just a pawn, but in some ways that is what it is. This is symbolic. This is not about what you're really tangibly adding so much as it is just symbolic that you pulled a sitting Power 5 school from a league that was vehemently denying that this would ever happen. You just won a battle there in the fight to become the third best conference in America, the best of the rest eventually when college football kind of homogenizes into the AFC, NFC, two big boys, Big Ten, SEC, and they go 20 or 20 plus. You want to be the best of the rest conference. This is a win. This is a big step forward in getting to that. I can hear R. Webb shouting it right now. This is a domino. This is a domino to fall, and it is a pretty big domino to fall because it is a legitimate Pac-12 school leaving. This is not a group of 5 school. You just pulled a Pac-12 school. Now it's going to be pretty chaotic in the Pac-12, and you can try to get in and strike and make something else happen. This has put a lot more pressure specifically on the folks in Tucson who have been waiting around and continue to say, and Robert Robbins, by the way, was quoted by The Athletic today as saying their stance hasn't changed. They want to stay and wait and see what the deal is going to be from George Kliavkoff first. But make no mistake, this is absolutely lighting more of a fire under their rear end. Browns and Beers. What's up, Browns and Beers? Appreciate you being here. Browns and Beers says, consider this the unofficial start of the John Kurtz Casa Bonita Margarita Fund, layups, dominoes, and the graphs. I'm glad you included the graphs in there. Yes, this is definitely a day for the graphs. Our favorite graph friend officially made it to the Freezing Cold Takes Twitter account, which that's a big day, folks. That's a big day. So you guys can all go check that one out. But yeah, the Casa Bonita Margarita Fund, I will 1,000% be attending the first K-State game back in Boulder. Football or men's basketball, I will make that happen because I have made many a Boulder trip. I guess at like 3. I think I've been there 3 times for K-State games before. I went twice when I was doing student radio for football games, which was really fun. I love Boulder. I grew up going to Denver every summer for summer vacation with the family, and we would always do a day trip to Boulder. Been around there a lot. Love it. Love the mountains. Love Colorado. So it'll be a cool, fun, unique trip to get back into the rotation. I am here for that. I am definitely here for that. So I've never been to Casa Bonita. Someone was actually just telling me, did they, like Casa Bonita, like went under, and then did Trey Parker and Matt Stone from South Park like revive it, pay for it to be revived? Like I thought I heard that. I don't know if that's 100% true, but if it is, I will be there. Rest assured, Browns and Beers, I will be there. R Webb, you guys are too good with bringing back all the receipts, man. I love it. R Webb says, Stewie Mandel, why the Pac-9 and Mountain West Conference should merge. Yeah, that was what he was writing about the Big 12 not that long ago. I was going to pull up a Stuart Mandel tweet here because I did laugh at one. There are some funny tweets. Yeah. Stuart Mandel said this. He said at Pac-12 Media Day just 5 days ago on possible defectors, George Kliavkoff, quote, it's not a concern. Rob Mullins, quote, I'm not losing any sleep over that. So then this is Mandel commenting on it. He says either they've been caught off guard again or they are truly not concerned if Colorado and only Colorado leaves. It's just like, I mean, or Stuart, they were doing a bit of damage control. Like this whole thing has been kind of a house of cards and a bit of a charade. And Kliavkoff is just trying to kick the can down the road, keep everybody happy, keep the natives from getting too restless while he tries to figure out a fairly impossible situation to get a TV deal that's going to meet everybody's needs. Like I mean, I just love that that's not even a consideration. It's either that Colorado completely duped them or they're just not concerned at all about Colorado leaving, which once again, before I get the slew of people coming in and saying, oh, you know, Colorado 1-11, they're a terrible football program on it. One school leaving is a domino. It shakes it up. It makes it more unstable. And other schools like Arizona that are on the fence now have more pressure and more impetus to leave. It is impactful. You did not want to lose Colorado. San Diego State, like San Diego is the number 30 media market in the country. Denver it's 16, I believe. Like, let's not even play that game. That is not something that they wanted to happen. Not something that they wanted to happen. Will, what's up, Will? Will Bowden, thank you for being here, Will. Appreciate you as always. Will says, will Utah get into the Big 12 or are they at risk of getting left out? I'm currently thinking Utah, Oregon, Washington, and Colorado are the 4 Big 12 takes. Well, I think that's the best case scenario. Absolutely the best case scenario from a football standpoint with the latter 3. I mean, the Oregon-Washington thing just becomes so interesting now. I understand. I have been the whole time, I have not really entertained much of this at all. I mean, like a couple weeks ago, I got slipped a little bit of info to the effect of, hey, maybe Washington could, but I would never have believed that or given that much validity or credibility or airtime or whatever. But I'll go ahead and just read you the Jason Shear tweet. Where is Shear? Jason Shear says, Colorado is likely to move within the next 48 hours. Also, there's another school in the Pac-12 beyond the rumored 4 corners that will surprise people and is seriously contemplating a jump to the Big 12. So I was just matching 2 and 2, putting 2 and 2 together there. I would still certainly doubt that that happens. I mean, that's a move that would make nobody happy in those fan bases, Washington and Oregon, to have to just be kind of a rental in the Big 12 for a while and bide their time waiting for the Big 10. But I don't know. I mean, it's getting a little bit more dicey. Like if Arizona were to decide to jump, once again, dominoes. This was the first domino. We'll see, man. We'll see, but it will be very interesting. Is Utah at risk of getting left out? I suppose there's always like some risk. I mean, they have been as defiant as anybody, certainly publicly as defiant as anybody about wanting to make a move to the Big 12. There was, I mean, all the way back to the athletic director tweeting at me, quote tweeting me, whenever that was, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 months ago, saying we are not leaving. I think that was during football season because I was saying something about USC and he was stepping in to say double entendre, we're the best brand and we're not leaving. There's been that. They publicly made statements at Pac12 Media Day last week about not wanting to leave. And though there have been like the Action Network, the rest of that Action Network article referenced that officials from Utah and Arizona State had met at some point with representatives from the Big 12. Pac-12 has been incredibly vocally defiant of doing any of that. So it would take a real change of heart there. And the one thing I do wonder about with them is, yes, they have a really good football program right now. However, they are in the same market basically as BYU. BYU, a national brand too, but being in the same market as BYU might hurt them a little bit. I don't know. I don't know exactly what to tell you about that. Arizona State also, by the way, has been just as seemingly unwilling to move as well. And I will say this, I have much more respect for the people in the athletic department at Utah in terms of like their acumen, what they're doing right now. Arizona State has just kind of been a mess, leadership-wise from the top down, like president on down. So I can see Utah realizing what's going on, realizing the tide turning if it does go that way, and being quicker to act to make it happen if it were going to be a situation of real urgency there for them. And Arizona State maybe would be the one that gets left out in that scenario. I don't know. But I suppose, yes, there is a scenario where they could get in a little bit of trouble. I'm really interested with where like Utah fans, where their head is actually at right now in all of this. G. Thomas Holland, what's up, my man? G. Thomas Holland, appreciate you being here. G. Thomas Holland says, long live the Big 12. Was waiting for this show all day and for like 3 years. That's right. Who do you think joins Colorado to the Truck Stop Conference? I don't think you're going to see anybody like immediately. I don't think you're going to see anybody tomorrow by the end of the week. I think before football season, now we might be talking something else because I think that's where the clock ticking for Arizona really comes in here. And it's just, you think about the inner workings of an athletic department and what's going on with everybody. Like before football season would seem to be the time to try and make some major move like that happening. Then once football gets going, and I mean, it's not just football for an athletic department. Obviously, they've got all the other sports rolling too. Things will start to get really busy. Calendar starts to get really busy, and perhaps that changes some things. So I don't think it'll be anybody in the immediacy, but keep your eye on the Four Corners. Keep your eye on the Pacific Northwest as to how all this is going to shake down from there. So, but I feel you on, I mean, not just waiting for this show for like 3 years, but just like waiting for a time where the Big 12 gets the spotlight for doing something very dynamic and proactive that is raiding another conference when you have for so long been the target of other, other raids. You know, I mean, we're going back to 2010 when all that got really hot and heavy. The first time around when the Big 12 got pillaged, they've just gone through round after round of this. Now you get to be on the offensive. You get to be the league on the offensive. Christian, what's up, Christian? Appreciate you, Christian. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being here. Christian says, pretend you're a Pac-12 media hack, not naming names. Your assignment is to spin this positively. What do you say with a straight face? Well, I mean, I think the obvious spin here and what the show was going to be tonight before this happened was like, hey, there's a real tenor change in the Pac-12. John Wilner wrote an article yesterday where the whole vibe of it was kind of like, hey, like Colorado seems like they got a real legitimate decision to make here. What's going to happen if Colorado decides to leave? Like, that's how you could really tell. We probably should have known something was really coming there, because even from the Wilner corner of the world, his article last night, I was like, whoa, okay. Like he's actually like now legitimately acknowledging it seems like there's a real shot of this happening. They've already laid the groundwork for some of this. I guess I don't have it pulled up. I was looking through, I think it was Jeff Fuller Shout out to Jeff Fuller on Twitter, who's a really good follow, and he had chronicled some of this stuff and put it together. It was maybe like in June, May or June, when the Colorado smoke really got heavy there for a minute and then sort of backed off. Willer had at one point wrote, like, basically, paraphrasing again here, the Pac-12 will just backfill with San Diego State if Colorado leaves, wipe their hands, call it good. And I suppose maybe that is what happens here. That's another ripple of this that could be in play now. Does San Diego State come right back into the picture? Is the Pac-12 going to have to try to add somebody to shore it up before the TV contract? Like, I don't know how that works. They've been so steadfast in, hey, we're going to get the TV deal done and then worry about expansion. But what happens now that somebody left? That will be an interesting dynamic at play here. But I think that's probably what it is. Like, you play the angle of Colorado is not a good football program. Even if Dion is good, he won't be there for very long. Look at the overall trend of Colorado's athletics over the last 20 years. What is the Big 12 like really actually gaining here? If George Kliavkoff still delivers an adequate TV deal, this league can stay together and be fine. That's the message. I'm sure that's what we will see in some form, but I will say those corners have been awfully quiet, at least on Twitter, here in the immediate aftermath of this. We have not seen a ton. I think we got a Canzano like eyeball emoji over the top of the original Thamel tweet, which like, okay, bud, maybe give us a little bit of insight when you've been this adamant in favor of the conference the whole time, but we'll see. I'll be interested to see how that goes. I'll be checking it. McMuffin, what's up, McMuffin? Thank you for being here, McMuffin. McMuffin says, I do not / will not ever feel bad for the Pac-12. I laugh in your face, Pac-12 and ons. We're going Pac-9 and ons, McMuffin. They've got 9 schools now, Pac-9 and ons. I laugh in your face, Pac-9 and ons. Where there's smoke, there's fire. So much smoke, the Pac ignored. Yeah, I would be curious to know how much of it was ignored from George Kliavkoff, like the leadership team internally, how serious they took like Phil DiStefano's comments last week, because Colorado really pulled the wool over the Pac-12, at least in terms of how it went down today. There is some great reporting on this. This was from Ross Dellinger, now of Yahoo Sports, one of the other heavy hitters in college football reporting nationally. He said this: the Pac-12 held its own board meeting Wednesday morning. So this morning, the Pac-12 held its own board meeting this morning where Commissioner George Kliavkoff provided an update on the media rights negotiations. Representatives from Colorado did not reveal any intention to leave or that they had scheduled a board meeting. So Colorado, as of this morning, just shows up ho-hum to the old Pac-12 board meeting and sits through. Sure heard more about an update on the TV deal, but didn't get specific numbers, shook their head, nodded. Okay, great. Thanks, George. We'll talk to you soon. They got off, had a board meeting, and said, to hell with this. We're out. We're out. Open session tomorrow. We're voting on the thing tomorrow. Let's kick this out to Thamel. Let's kick this out to McMurphy. It's going to get out there. Let's just go do it. That's how Colorado handled it as of today. Probably not a great day for Mr. Kliavkoff with how the events really went down there. So clearly, yes, some of the Pac-12 fans, and I will say this, even in a moment of empathy here, like Pac-12 fans, I get it. You don't want to believe that there are legitimate problems, legitimate chinks in the armor. You don't want to believe that this league that you've looked down on forever, that you think is full of just hillbillies that don't know anything and crappy football, even though, I mean, that's an objectively wrong take. This league that you have looked down upon for so long, there's no way, right? There's no way that this could be happening. And you had plenty of media sources on your side telling you that there's no way this could be happening. You had no shortage of charts telling you there's no way that this could be happening. So, like, I understand how that happens. And certainly I have empathy for like Oregon State, Washington State fans who now have to be very fearful about what's going on. And I do not envy that at all. As a K-State fan, K-State grad, 100% understand their plight and the situation that they're in. That's not really who I'm here trying to dunk on today. But yes, I think the whole media ecosystem, that whole sphere of influence in Pac-12 country did not take some of the smoke on this as seriously as they should have for a long time. I get it. Like legit reporters like John Wilner, I mean, he's got to be careful. He can't just be operating off of like smoke. He's going to need like actual real concrete, tangible evidence and info for things. But there are plenty of people who did not pay enough attention there. And plenty of people who just, I see The missus is in here. Thank you, Miss. Miss. I guess it's Miss. There's no R. M's, Mrs. Do you think Tony Altomare will apologize? No, I don't think that's going to happen. But, like I saw his tweet that he got off today, which is basically like, look, Colorado didn't want to move. The presidents and chancellors really screwed this up. Colorado never wanted to do this. And like my response to him would just be like, that's basically what we have been trying to say this whole time. Like even John Wilner has railed against the presidents and chancellors for a long time, saying that they enabled Larry Scott, that they have not taken athletics seriously enough, that they have been a huge problem for this league for a long time. So everybody else knows that. We can kind of put that together. We can piece together that Kliavkov has been duped a couple of times here, has not had good things to say publicly, has made himself look silly, has clearly overpromised on what he thought the value of the league was. Like, there have just been so many missteps here that, regardless of what these schools really thought, high and mighty, don't want to join the Big 12, whatever, there had been enough going on where it was pretty easy to see the case for like how this would happen and how this could break down and how you would actually get there. So that's the part where I just say, like, you can say all you want, like, this is just the presidents and chancellors screwing it up because no one really wanted to do it. Yeah, man, nobody here said Pac-12 schools love the Big 12 and they want to jump because of their love of this conference, their love of Buckys, their love of Quick Trip, their love of Loves, all the gas stations, all of that stuff. Like, only one AAU member, they just love that conference so much that is why they want to jump. That's not what anybody here said. It said there's a decent chance that they do jump because of all the circumstances here, including the presidents and chancellors of the Pac-12 being dunces. So, like, that's what happened. And that's all anybody was trying to say from this corner. So anyway, Daniel, what's up, Daniel? Appreciate you being here. Good old Daniel Hall in the house. Thank you, sir. Daniel says, well, George Kliavkov was still deciding to shop in the Big 12. Brett Yormark went and stole from the Pac. Yeah, that line is not aging well at all. We haven't decided if we're going shopping there or not. I guess the decision has been made at this point for Mr. Kliavkov. I don't think that they are going to be going shopping in the Big 12 anytime soon. So, yes, that is one of the many receipts that is going to come back over and over again now that we find ourselves in this position. Sorry, the chat just jumped way ahead of me here. Man, there's a lot to get to, guys. A lot to get to. Man. Scroll it up. Okay, here we go. Daniel, what's up, Daniel? Daniel, appreciate you. Question now is CU and who else? Yeah, this has been addressed a couple of times here. Like, I think now's the time you really table the UConn discussion, right? Because the Pac-12 is on edge. If you've got one, you're definitely going to keep the pressure on for everybody else. And if there really is a little bit of teetering, a little bit of curiosity in the Pacific Northwest, that now is really the time to do whatever you can to put that full court press on, ratchet up the pressure. And right now, while everything is a little bit destabilized, try to go pounce. When you find yourself like on shaky footing, much easier to get knocked over. When the ground's shaking, like you got a little bit of an earthquake going on, a little tremor going on, it's easier to get pushed over than it is when things have smoothed out and it's a little bit more stable. So, things are rocky right now is the time to go pounce. And I have zero doubt that Brett Yormark is going to give that every try because he is not one to be passive. That is an aggressive dude. And I'm sure he is going to go out and try to make that happen. Jesse, what's up, Jesse? Appreciate you, Jesse. He says, you heard it here first. Invest in land on I-70 near Denver because the truck stops are coming. That's funny. Yeah. More truck stops. We got to get a Bucky's out in the greater Denver metro area. We should do that. Or, look, my personal favorite around here, I grew up with Quick Trips. I'm definitely a sucker for a Quick Trip. Loves is not bad. And what was On Q. I think On Q, that's the other one that I see now when we're driving south, like to Oklahoma and Texas. I think we stopped at an On Q on the way either to or from Big 12 Media Days a couple of weeks ago. So, yeah, you definitely should. Let's get some more truck stops around Denver. Now is the time. I think that's really what happens upon official entry to the Big 12. They just build you a Bucky's. I think that's in the contract that Colorado will sign. They will sign on the dotted line, and it is going to include a Bucky's that goes in around Boulder. So I think that'll fit perfectly with the Boulder vibe. all the outdoorsmen, all the bikers there, everybody ready to hike and ski. They can now go load up with a 128-ounce Diet Coke at the Buckys and buy a bag of sriracha beef jerky as well. And, maybe like a little stuffed Bucky's logo. Lots of things that you could stock up on there. Travis, what's up, Travis? Travis says Oregon and Washington chances up to us. Oregon folks think so. See, Oregon's Oregon has been a little bit more outwardly supportive of the Pac-12. I have never caught any kind of vibe that they would want to legitimately entertain being in the Big 12 at all. I think their fan base would just see that as a massive step down, not anything that they're interested in doing at all. So I have just really written off that possibility pretty much the entire time, ever since the first couple of months, maybe after USC UCLA broke. It has just not seemed like any sort of likely thing at all there. Washington, if you've noticed, paid attention, much more publicly quiet, just kind of doing their own thing, keeping a low profile, not commenting much in all of this at all. So you guys, I feel like you know where I've been trying to lead you here on which one would perhaps be the more likely of the two. If you're asking, Travis, I'm trying to decipher this appropriately. If you're asking, like, are the chances of Oregon and Washington coming to the Big 12 up to us, as in up to the Big 12? I mean, no, I think you would still very much have to do a lot of convincing to make that actually happen. The other thing is, like, if one is thinking about going and the other is not, I mean, I have a hard time seeing one going without the other, I guess is my point. Like, if one of them leaves, that's pretty much going to be the end of the Pac-12, I would have to think. So always felt to me like that would have to be some sort of a move in concert, but I don't know. Again, I don't have any crazy inside information. There just had been a rumor going around about Washington for a little while that I didn't really give the time of day at all because I didn't buy it. And then we see the Jason Scheer tweet today, like, hey, watch out for another Pac-12 school that is not a four-corner school that would really surprise some people that is thinking about it. So I'm just kind of connecting some dots there. I mean, that is not something that I would bet on happening. But you damn sure better well try. That is definitely what you should be doing. G. Thomas Holland. What's up, G. Thomas Holland? Okay, I'm glad you brought this up, G. Thomas Holland. Did you see the Ohio State mascot Instagram pic with the Oregon Duck mascot? Any other Big Ten movement coming? Or has Washington scheduled a Board of Regents meeting yet? Yeah, so a couple things here. One, there is an Oregon Board of Regents meeting that is happening. I believe it is tomorrow, but that was pretty clearly and quickly knocked down as something. It's about Dan Lanning's contract, so it is not anything to do with realignment for Oregon. That was just kind of like poor timing, the way that worked out, at least for the rumor mill to really get going, that comes out right in the aftermath of this Colorado thing, because of course people think, oh, well, that's going to be Oregon talking about all this too. Do not think it is. Looks like it's just a Dan Lanning contract thing. But yeah, the other thing that sparked some real speculation was that there was a picture of Brutus the Buckeye with the Oregon Duck, like holding hands. And I'm trying to remember what the caption is. I'll see if I can pull it up for you real quick. Yeah, here's a Sports Illustrated headline. Cryptic post from Ohio State, Oregon kicks off football expansion rumors again. It is the two embraced at Autzen Stadium, and it says big things coming. And big is capitalized, B-I-G. So a little bit of a cryptic way of spelling that all out there, which obviously leads you to speculate, like, hey, does that mean something's coming with the Big Ten? Is that some sort of scheduling agreement? What is going on there? Is that somebody just trying to ruffle some feathers, no pun intended, with the Duck, and just get people talking? I really don't know. I would tend to believe that that's more of what it is, but I don't know. I have not seen anything about like a Washington Board of Regents meeting yet. Like I said earlier, I would not expect. I know we're excited. We're thinking about what could happen here. We're thinking about dominoes falling. I don't think anything else with anybody, like Arizona included, is going to happen anytime soon. I think it will take some time for this to all suss itself out. But you do, I mean, the sooner the better. The sooner the better. You don't want to let things stabilize. You don't want to let George Kliavkoff have a chance to actually get, which again, it feels like an almost impossible task, but to get an appropriate TV deal out there to keep the rest of this thing together. Like now is when you got to you drew some blood. You got to go for the kill shot now. Let's see. Admiral Snack Bar. Wow. Admiral Snack Bar. Love the name. Admiral Snack Bar, appreciate you, first of all. Says, love the show, John. As a big Washington fan, I've been so frustrated with inept Pac-12 leadership for years. You guys got any extra room in the Big 12? Well, there you go. There you go. I'm actually glad to hear you say that, because I would just have thought like any Washington and Oregon fan would just be so vehemently against having to go play in the Big 12. And like, I get it, man. I mean, if you're big brands, especially like Oregon has obviously like competitively really run that conference for a while. That's not, you don't want to be making a move, like a lateral move ish in terms of the strength of the conference. Basically just not moving to one of the Power 2 conferences, like moving to the ACC or the Big 12 just doesn't do you a whole lot from like a competitive standpoint there. And now you're losing your rivals that you're playing, and you're just playing schools in a totally different region of the country. Like, I understand, like it does kind of suck. So I am just pleased to hear you say that you would at least be open to it, which I don't know. We'll see about the rest of the fan base there, but you're right. I mean, at the same time, yes, if you're Washington or Oregon, you have to be incredibly frustrated with the leadership. I mean, going from Larry Scott to now George Kliavkoff, like it has been a mess at the top of the Pac-12 for a long time. And again, I will harken back to what Wilner has said many a times about Pac-12 leadership. It has not been very good with the presidents and chancellors who, I mean, this is where some of the academic reputation actually hurts the conference because there are not presidents and chancellors in those positions who care enough about sports, don't see the value in it, don't care enough to like fully embrace and understand it. And I think all of that has led to a lot of problems here for the league. So, and by the way, I mean, the leadership at Arizona State that is the most hesitant to leave for the Big 12, like that wants no piece of trying to leave for the Big 12 is, I mean, that's the dude that was the most cozy with Larry Scott while all that was going down. So I don't know. It shows you where the heads are at of all of these people who have been there. So anyway, we would love to have you, Admiral Snack Bar. I would love to have Washington. I absolutely adore Seattle, and would very much love to go watch my squad play up there. Last summer, I went to the Pacific Northwest, visited Seattle, and got up to it's Husky Stadium, right? Or is it like Alaska Airlines? They're the sponsor, at least on it. I don't know. Got there to the stadium. It's just freaking gorgeous. You got the lake action going on in the back. Well, I say lake, like anyway. The water. You've got the water. Listen, you can't take me anywhere. I'm from 12 and on truck stop country. You got the water right past the stadium. It was gorgeous. It was a really good time. Anyway, DZ Low 785. What's up, DZ Low 785? DZ Low 785 says parking lot filling up quick at the truck stop. You are correct. You are correct. It is filling up fast. You better get in there. And hey, while you're at the truck stop here in this truck stop conference, maybe you can watch a little bit of Pac-12 football. You can catch Cal Oregon State in the Pac-6 championship game on the little TVs at the truck stop, at the gas pump while you're at the truck stop. That is how you can do it. Christian, reading Twitter receipts is delicious. It is, and man, I was trying to get work done towards the end of the day. I was trying to focus on things that I needed to get done at the end of the day. But once that broke, it was really hard to pull my eyes away from Twitter. I mean, honestly, I'm looking at a tab up here on my internet browser that is showing me just that Twitter is open. And I very badly want to go click it and continue to read because it's entertaining. Not just the receipts, like just entertaining memes. Everything is great right now. Everything is great. Good morning, USA. Good morning to you. Good evening to you, in fact. But Good Morning USA says, remember when George Kliavkoff said they had to wait to get a deal done because of the value Deion Sanders brought to the Pac-12? Shove it, George. Man, I had forgotten that. I forgot about that. That was actually like something kind of that floated there at one point in time where it was like, they were waiting on the UCLA thing to be official because of the California board had their meetings. And yeah, some point in there, it was like that. Well, there was a quote. I wanted to bring this up because Jeff Fuller brought this up and had it out on Twitter. But if we're going through like some receipts on the Pac-12 here, pointed out that George Kliavkoff in December said he absolutely adds value to the league in reference to Deion Sanders. That was a push at one point in time from the Pac-12 propaganda machine was look how much value is going to be added by the mere fact that this league has Deion at Colorado. And now you're going to see the same folks really crap on the impact of Colorado. Whatever, terrible football program, Deion will leave anyway. I mean, that's how it's going to work, and we've already seen some of that. That's just how this deal will go down. But that's a good reference. It's a good reference. Good morning, USA, and I'm glad that all of you guys remember these things, because it is hard for me even to keep track of absolutely everything here. So that's good stuff. That's good stuff. Matthew, what's up, Matthew Hunsaker? Appreciate you as always, my friend. Thank you for being here. Matthew says, my donation honors the last time BYU played Colorado and beat none other than Eric Bieniemy, 20-17. Wow. One of the earliest games I can remember as a kid. Looking forward to more buffs and hope Bieniemy does well away from Andy Reid. Well, I do too. As a pretty diehard Chiefs fan, I definitely like and respect Eric Bieniemy. Colorado, my memories of Colorado were that, K-State for the longest time. Like Bill Snyder, I was born the year Bill Snyder got to K-State, 1989. He gets the program up and running. They're going to bowls starting it. They start this long run of going to bowl games in 1993. They're winning 9 or 10 games every year by that point, but it took them until 97 to get over that Colorado hump. It was Colorado, Nebraska. They could not get over that hump. They tied them in 1993, back when ties were still a thing. I remember that. That was a big deal. And then they finally beat Rick Neuheisel in Colorado in 1997 in a game that I attended. So that one always has a special place in my heart. And then at the end, I know K-State had some disappointing losses there, kind of at the end of Snyder 1.0 to Colorado. And Ron Prince had some real dumb losses to Colorado too. So that was right before they wound up leaving the league. So most of my Colorado memories are not all that great, even though, K-State beat them in 97, 98, 99, 2000, and 2003. So I guess there were 5 there in a nice little stretch, 5 of 6. But outside of that, they were not always great memories of playing Colorado. So I'm glad you have a good one, Matthew. I'm glad you have a good one. I am definitely here to go back. I think I've told this story before. The last thing I remember about being in Boulder was I went to 2009, or rather 2008 and 2010, K-State's last 2 road trips to Boulder. I went to do student radio broadcasts. And boy, I've got stories from all of those trips, some of which are not appropriate for air here. But one of them that I remember and will never forget was we had to, since we were student radio, we had to take a van, like a university van or vehicle. And it had not even just a power cat. It was the K-State, the official university logo on the side. A little dorky looking, honestly. But it was just a plain white vehicle with those logos on the side. And so we had to park it in whatever the media parking was. But it's just a freaking billboard for K-State. And we come back out to the car after the game, which was K-State lost, had no defense. It was 41-38, something like that. We come back out to the car, put it in reverse, start pulling out, and you just hear psh, psh, psh. Beer bottles, man. They had stuck empty beer bottles under every one of the tires. Thankfully, we didn't have a flat or anything, but don't think anyone's super jacked for Colorado fans specifically, but I am here for Boulder, and I'm definitely here for having them coming back to the league. Our Web, what's up, Our Web? Our Web says, screw layups. This was a dagger 3. It sure was, man. This was Marquise Noel from the logo. Marquise Noel turning and looking away while that sucker's still up in the air and it drops nothing but the bottom of the cup. This was pretty good. I don't know, Our Web. You think it's still a layup for the good old Pac-12 to beat that Big 12 number? Still a layup. George kicking ass. All those things that we've seen in quotes, man, look pretty silly right now. Ema Tom, what's up, Ema Tom? Appreciate you, Ema Tom. Thank you for your support. Ema Tom says, go Cats. Can't wait for Jacob Parrish to blow up Dylan Edwards on a punt return. I thought about tweeting that earlier, Ema Tom. I was like, oh, K-State's going to get their game against Dylan Edwards. High-profile recruit, 4-star recruit, committed to K-State, then committed to Notre Dame, then committed to Colorado. He was out of Derby, Kansas. This was all last year. Wound up in Colorado and is about to be a freshman for Deion. So, yeah, Colorado coming in 2024 very well could get your game against Dylan Edwards if you are a K-State fan. So, at first, when I looked down, I saw Jacob P. I thought that was going to be a Jacob Pullen reference, and I was like, whoa, Tom, don't do that to me, because the last Big 12 basketball memories I have against Colorado were Jacob Pullen, really good team, wound up being a 5 seed preseason top 5 K-State team that year. They lost 3 times to Alec Burks in Colorado. When that third one happened in the Big 12 tournament, that was about as frustrated as I think I've ever been as a K-State basketball fan. Couldn't believe that was happening. Steve King, what's up, Steve? Appreciate you being here. Thank you for your support. Steve says, I missed the light switch. Good news on Colorado, no to Utah. All right, there you go, Utah fans that have been asking. Steve is out. Steve is out on Utah. Does not want Utah. The light switch is still there. It's right behind my box of Patrick Mahomes Magic Crunch, the cereal that you see over my shoulder. Still there. Not sure which ones are up or which ones are down. It will just remain a mystery. But you know what? Sometimes a little mystery is good. It'll keep you coming back, Steve, because maybe one day the cereal's fallen. Maybe one day a dog comes in here and eats it or something, and then the cereal's gone, and you'll get your light switch. I don't want to totally shut down your dreams on that. Michael, what's up, Michael? Appreciate you being here. Michael says, dumpster fire or not, less media inventory to fill. This goes back to like the expansion discussion now for the Pac-12. It seemed like there was less and less momentum for that a couple schools really didn't want expansion as it stands, and that San Diego State and SMU suddenly were not shoo-ins to get into the league. But a part of that discussion had always been you need the extra inventory. And so maybe adding 2 teams makes sense just to give yourself more inventory, create more late night West Coast sort of inventory that we've been told how valuable that is for a long time. Now you've got less inventory with just the 9 teams. So we'll see. Dominoes, as our web would say, dominoes are going to fall one way or the other. Does it fall toward the Pac-12 going and grabbing San Diego State, or does it fall toward more schools leaving here shortly? We shall see. Matthew, what's up, Matthew? Matthew Hazelhorse, thank you for your support, sir, as always. Matthew says, John, is it real? Ready to watch the Traders get lit up day one, Arizona following. Matthew, you hit on something that will be fascinating. That is like how quickly this is going to turn from like celebrating, welcoming Colorado back, like, hey, guys, you're back, to the old Big 8 rivals. Will they turn back into like, okay, wait, I remember, like, we didn't really like you guys all that much. Your fans threw like battery-filled snowballs when we were there for games. You put beer bottles under the cars, like all those things. Will that pretty quickly turn back into like, oh, wait, screw you guys. We forgot we don't like you. Like this is an old conference rival. We'll see how quickly that transition is made by Big 12 fans. Arizona following, again, I'll just repeat, like we'll see within the next month how that plays out. Here, I'll give you the official quote from Robert Robbins, the president at Arizona. It was from The Athletic. Here we go. When asked if Colorado leaving the Pac-12 for the Big 12 would impact his school's decision on his future in the Pac-12, University of Arizona president Robert C. Robbins told The Athletic it depends on the details of the media rights deal. Quote, all I keep saying is, we're just waiting to get a deal. And then everybody has to evaluate the deal on its merits. I've been pretty steadfast in that stance. So Robbins basically just gave you the same message that Arizona has publicly repeated. But it is worth mentioning and worth repeating that Arizona's public stance is the exact same one that Colorado had been taking publicly the whole time. Like, we want the Pac-12 to stay together. We're optimistic that could happen, but we need to see numbers, and then we'll evaluate where we're at. Arizona's been given the same message for a while. Now the pressure of being the first one to jump, first one to leave, and the guilt of being the first one to leave, that's gone. Colorado has taken that burden off of Arizona. So now we'll see if this starts to heat back up. One of the articles, I think it may have been The Athletic. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to pull it up and find it here. I may not have even copied it. But one of the official articles here had referenced the fact that talks had died down between Arizona and the Big 12 here lately. But obviously that could very much change now that you have all of this happening. Maybe that was the Brett McMurphy article. Arizona President Robert Robbins met with Yormark in Houston during the Final Four, sources said. That was a bit of information from Brett McMurphy. Officials at Arizona State and Utah have also had informal conversations with Big 12 representatives and officials, sources said. All right, it was a different article there for what I was referencing. Anyway, R. Crandall. What's up, R. Crandall? Thank you for being here, R. Crandall. R. Crandall, appreciate your support as well. Says, great for the Big 12. Just leave the Utes hanging. It's another no on Utah. I don't know. It really seems like the chat here tonight, not really digging the Utah stuff not into Utah. I would very much. Here's the part of Utah coming that would be very fun. I would love to have that game, the rivalry between BYU and Utah. I would love to have the Holy War in the conference. Would definitely like that. I think that would be wildly entertaining. And I understand some of the dynamics at play there with Utah and BYU, and that, BYU is happy to be here in the stable conference now after getting kind of crapped on by Utah for a long time. So I get that may not be the preference of everybody involved there on that rivalry, but as a neutral observer, I would be very much here for that rivalry coming into the conference. Dustin. What's up, Dustin? Dustin Mac? B-Mac. Dustin says, yes, you would be a good ad, but no better poetic justice than having the Utes driving the freeway, seeing Big 12 stickers pass them in the fast lane. Got some Big 12 stickers out there? Do we have like Big 12 bumper stickers out there in Utah for some BYU fans? I would love that if you do. And certainly if Utah gets left out in the cold, that would be a good way to go. I get it. I understand the dynamics there. Utah was trying to get Power 5 for so long. They finally did. Now they've had a bunch of success. BYU has been left out of the conference game. Now BYU might actually have a bit of an upper hand on conference affiliation here. So I get it. I'm sure that is very fun and very heated up right now in Utah. And that's like some of the ripple effects of this are, it's just going to spark a lot of Twitter debate, conversation, et cetera, with all parties involved right now in so many different corners of all of this. Pac-12 fans, Big 12 fans, but then specifically things like Utah and BYU, that bickering is going to really ratchet up, I would imagine here. Delarick, what's up, Delarick? Delarick says the surprise school is Oregon State, and the only school without a landing spot in the Power 5 when all this is said and done will be Washington State. Look, I love you, Delarick, but that ain't it. Not Oregon State. Jason Shearer, in fact, already said it is not Oregon State. He said, I'm going to paraphrase him, but it was like, respectfully, Oregon State and Washington State are not the schools. They do not have the juice to be added there and keep the conference whole as far as a dollar amount. So nothing again. Oregon State has a very good thing going with their football program right now. Again, I empathize. I do not envy their situation. It will not be Oregon State. I can tell you that right now. It will not be Oregon State. I've told you to look to the Pacific Northwest, and probably not the Pacific Northwest school that everybody would tend to gravitate to first in reference to the tweet that Jason Shearer had, at least what I deem that to be based on things that I had also been told. All Blue 12. What's up, All Blue 12? All Blue 12 says Utah AD finally right. Best brand left after Oregon, Washington, Arizona, and Colorado leave the Pac-6. That's pretty good. Or the six-pack. Hey, that might be the best branding that we've had this entire time, All Blue 12. Thank you for that. Could just be the six-pack. Once you get a couple other schools free and they leave, this is just the six-pack conference with love from the Truck Stop Conference. Sounds like there's plenty of love there, All Blue 12. It sounds like there is plenty of love there. But yeah, that's back to the Utah AD's tweet to me where he said, we are not leaving, when I said, hey, Pac-12's best brand is leaving, obviously in reference to USC. So you're saying after Oregon, Washington, Arizona, and Colorado leave, then Utah is the best brand in the Pac-12. It's an interesting discussion, like where the brand rankings actually would be, where the brand ranking would actually be for Utah in that conference. Because football program, much different discussion than brand. Andrew, what's up, Andrew? Appreciate your support, my friend. Andrew says the Pac-12 and the Mountain West will have to merge. Broke Pac Mountain. Man, when I just thought the six-pack had taken the cake as far as nicknames go here for the conference, Broke Pac Mountain is very solid. That is very solid, Andrew. Man. That's good. That is good, Andrew. Thank you for that. Thank you for that laugh. That's awesome. We may get some bastardized version of that at some point. A six-pack Mountain West merger, which does, again, I feel terrible for Oregon State and Washington State, but Broke Pac Mountain that's a laugh I have to take, my friends. I'm sorry. That's a laugh that I have to take. Travis, what's up, Travis? Appreciate you being here, Travis. Thank you for your support of the channel. Travis, great stat. I saw I think it was Ryan, my buddy Ryan Moss on Twitter put this out earlier today. Colorado still has 12 more Big 12 wins than Kansas as of right now after being gone for over a decade. Colorado still has 12 more Big 12 wins than Kansas. So when they return to the conference, even if KU were to run the table this year and win 10 games, we'll even give them the Big 12 championship win, 10 games, 10-0 in Big 12 play this year, Colorado would still come back to the league with more Big 12 wins than Kansas, thus emphasizing the recent history and states and status of Kansas football. That is a very good stat. Isaiah, thank you for being here, Isaiah. Isaiah Glover, grateful Coug fan here. Thanks, John, for building this channel and building a Big 12 community. Hey, you guys are the ones that have really built this. I have merely been the facilitator of all of this, but it's you guys that have built this, you guys that support this. Cannot thank you enough for that. This is a day that, like, honestly, I didn't really think was going to come when I first started doing these shows like 2 years ago. We're almost on like the 2-year anniversary. It's right around then of when I really started diving into this topic and turning the channel into that. So an appropriate time to look back and reflect and be eternally grateful on where this has all ended up, both from a support standpoint and where the league actually is at. So thank you for that, Isaiah. And thank you everybody here who supports the channel, man. I am immensely, immensely grateful for that. Matthew Hunsaker, Pac-12 media negotiations starting from zero now. I mean, great question. That is a great question. I wonder how this really does affect it, because it's been such a struggle already to get here. Again, Andrew Marchand earlier today from the New York Post, one of the best sports business and kind of like TV industry reporters out there, had said, like, the way this is all going is not the way that you get a good deal. That was his analysis and take on the Pac-12. Once again, a guy who's been as neutral as anybody in all this and has no reason to pull for anybody on either side. New York-based sports media reporter does not give a bleep about the Big 12 or the Pac-12. But he said, the way this is all unfolding is not the way that you get a good deal. So it was already seemingly not going well. Now you're losing a team. And again, say what you will about what Colorado has been as a football program, but even the Pac-12's own commissioner, George Kliavkoff, has been trying to make the case that is actually something that has value, the fact that Deion is there at Colorado. So it's not nothing, man. It's not nothing to lose him and lose them. And I do wonder how much of a wrench that throws. And that's when we talk about dominoes falling. That is another hurdle, right? This is the piece to understand about this. That is another hurdle for George Kliavkoff and company to deal with now. The TV negotiations potentially change. You still do have Arizona waiting and saying that they're going to wait patiently, but now if it's going to take even longer because Colorado left, that makes Kliavkoff's job harder. That makes it harder for Arizona to stick around throughout all that. And now you see how these dominoes start to fall. So yeah, man, that's a very good topic to bring up. I wish I had more actual insight to give you on like how that will really operate. Our web says Clownzano couldn't find your boy Schultz for orders. Yeah, Kirk Schultz. Lots of speculation that Kirk Schultz, president at Washington State, former president at K-State, who's been on, the executive advisory committee, whatever the top executive group is at the Pac-12. He's been heavily involved in that. He went through realignment last round in 2010 at K-State. I have not seen anything yet. I have not seen the official Canzano spin. I have not seen that yet. So we'll see. We'll see what Kirk Schultz has to say here. I mean, that's not a good day for him at all either, because again, Washington State and Oregon State, their backs are against the wall, man. And Kirk Schultz, last we publicly saw him, it was him pleading with higher ups at his own university about the financial situation that Washington State athletics is in right now, which is not a good one. So not going to be a good day for him. Shane, what's up, Shane? Shane Reich, SR, Shane Reich Sr. Thank you for your support, Shane. Shane says, John, if the Big Ten adds Oregon and Washington, could they add Oregon State and Washington State to protect the Civil War and Apple Cup rivalries? I mean, look, I get why you would probably want to bring your rival along for some reasons, but I have, covered this ground. It's just not going to happen. And I think the order of this, you probably asked that before I really actually had addressed that question because I'm just lagging, trying to get through all the donations here. But it would not, the simple math on that is that you're not going to get, I know that it's out there like the pro rata clause of the contract. This is where you would not get, we've talked about that like 60, what was it, like 63%? I forget the exact number, is 65% that you get guaranteed from a pro rata contract, but the rest of it, the other 35 would have to be negotiated because it was only written into the contract of ESPN and not Fox. You would not be guaranteed that extra money and you're just not going to get it. If a TV network doesn't have to give it to you for Oregon State and Washington State, they're not going to give it to you. So therefore you'd be bringing them in. They would not be making enough money to cover a full share of $32 million for a school. You would be losing money. And it's just not something that the Big 12 is going to do. And just frankly, again, from a brand standpoint, they've got bigger fish to fry that they're going after before anyway. So that's the situation there. I understand, like it sucks to think about those rivalries and all that. So like we're just the toothpaste is out of the tube in college football, and we don't care about those things anymore. Everybody follows the money. Everybody follows the money. Our web says smoke. Heck, Clownzano totally inhaled. Yeah, he did. Maybe John Canzano's got a joint fund too. I've had some nice donations to the John Kurtz Joint Fund from Utah fans. Who was the other guy? There was a guy a couple weeks ago. I don't know. Someone in the chat, I'm sure, remembers. Some fan. Was it like an Oregon State fan? I don't remember who it was a fan of. It was coming after me too that I had to tell that they were donating to the John Kurtz Joint Fund. J-Rod. What's up, J-Rod? Lots of numbers after the name. Just going to roll with J-Rod. J-Rod, appreciate you being here. Thank you for your support, my friend. J-Rod says, as a Big 12 fan, I welcome all Pac schools to our conference with open arms. I do too. To quote a wise man, and that wise man being Scott Stapp, I will welcome Pac-12 schools and fans here to the conference with arms wide open. That is what I will do, much like you, J-Rod. So get your creed on. Let's welcome them all back in. And especially if you're from the Pacific Northwest, you will always have a spot here on this YouTube channel. You will have a spot in the Big 12. You will have a spot at my gas pump at the truck stop, my friends. So come on in, baby. Come on in. Julius, what's up, Julius? Appreciate you being here, Julius. Thank you for your support. Always incredible. Thank you so much for that. Julius says, howdy, John. For once, the Cougs are on the inside looking in at all the conference realignment. Yes, indeed, they are. The Cougs are in a good spot. You don't have to worry and fret about any of this. It's really, honestly, like that's something that we share in common. Julius is a fan of a school that's been in the Big 12 for the entirety of its life as a conference. This has been a pretty familiar refrain to have to deal with it, but from the opposite side now, for once, this actually feels kind of exciting. You get to be on the exciting part of the conference realignment equation. And not that adding the 4 new schools wasn't exciting. That was great at the time and very welcome news, and probably more celebratory even at the time, just because that felt like you were staving off clear death. We're here. You knew you were going to survive, but this is just making you a little bit stronger as a league and opening up some other possibilities. But I digress, Julius. Great to have you here. Great to have you guys in this situation with us. BYU is a huge part of the reason that the Big 12 had built itself up on solid enough ground to go make this sort of a move. That sort of a move does not happen without BYU being in the fold. So I think we can speak for us all in saying that we are very, very grateful, very, very grateful for the fact that you guys are here. Chase, thank you for your support. Oh boy, just jumped on me. We're going to have to scroll way back up. But Chase, I did not see a message attached to your donation. So if there was something, I apologize if I am missing that. Boy, we got a lot here. Where you at, Chase? Man, is it a crowded chat here tonight? It is a very crowded chat here tonight. God, it's not even letting me scroll back up. Man, I may have missed some here. This has never happened to me before, guys. The chat is crazy enough that it is only letting me scroll back up a certain amount. I am not able to go up any further. So Ag List is the next one that I'm seeing. If I missed your donation because of this, please let me know. Please let me know that I did, and I will do my best to make good for you on the next show. On Twitter, at JL Kurtz. Hit me in the DMs if that happened to you. I sincerely apologize. Like, I guess we have never had a chat this lively. That tells you how lively everything is right now. Anyway, Aglist. What's up, Aglist? Aglist says Truck Stop U Conference 1, Conference of Champions 0, going to 4-0 with Colorado, Arizona, Oregon State, and Arizona State by September. Rock Chalk Jayhawk Allen. Well, Allen, I will say again with Oregon State that they will not be a part of it. I can definitively tell you that they will not be a part of it. But perhaps Colorado, Arizona, maybe Arizona State, although they have been the most hesitant and the most against leaving for the Big 12, it seems perhaps even a little bit more than Utah, less open to it here as of late. So I would still very much doubt that Arizona State is going to happen, but keep the eyes on the Pacific Northwest, keep the eyes on Arizona, with Arizona being probably the next most likely there. But appreciate you being here, Alan. Thank you. And yes, rack up another one for the good old Truck Stop U Conference. John C. Thank you for being here. Appreciate your support, my friend. John C. says, I went to bed and Colorado was in the Pac-12, woke up to get ready for a night at work, and they're going to the Big 12. What a way to wake up. There you go, John, getting a little pep in his step on the night shift. You've earned it, John. You've earned it, my friend. You deserve a little extra pep in the step heading into the night shift. Congratulations. I'm sure that'll make the workday a little better. But if you're like me, it could also make you more distracted and thinking like, I got to be reading all these tweets right now, man. Twitter, this was as good a day in Big 12 history as we've ever had, because shout out to Cyclone Larry. Cyclone Larry came back from the dead today. Like, well, all this is happening. And, I would have a hunch that those two events are probably related. Colorado coming to the Big 12 and Cyclone Larry making his triumphant return after leaving to go find a couple beers or whatever it was that he left us on. I was like, dude, what is happening? Then we had like Nicole Auerbach was like fighting with Shannon Terry, the head of On 3. There was just like Twitter was crazy today, man. Just crazy in the college sports space. As wild a day as I can remember. Neilio, what's going on, Neilio? Neilio says, good evening, John. Always enjoy the content you provide us all. Great show. Go Cats. Thank you, Neilio. Love to see you here. Always appreciate that. Thank you so much for your support. I'm going to try one thing. And Neilio, I don't mean to just like gloss over that, man. I'm sorry. I really appreciate it and love the Go Cats. Hashtag Go Cats. But Neilio, get ready tomorrow. If you're a 3-mile listener, which I'm pretty sure you are, we taped one with Phil Byer today, the strength coach at K-State, who was a great dude, great dude, and really fun chat. A lot of good insight on the returners on the basketball squad. So I think you guys will really like that as well. I thought I saw an option here on the chat where I could actually see everything. Oh, goodness. Boy, I may have just lost even more on the chat. The chat is killing me right now, guys. The chat is killing me. Golly, I just lost a ton of this, guys. I am so sorry. The chat is... This makes me really mad. It's like cutting things off now. I cannot scroll back up, so I am missing a ton of the donations here, which is, this is the last thing that I want to do to you guys. I know that this is a very very fun celebratory day here. I don't want to step on all you guys by missing the donations. If you donated, like, try and let me know in the chat right now. Let me know, and I will do whatever it is that I can. Man, it just keeps disappearing. It just keeps disappearing on me. I am not trying to screw you guys at all here, but let me get through what I still have. David says, thank you for your support. Appreciate you being here. David says, if the Big 12 were to expand by 4 or 6 teams, would the Big 12 look to get a better TV deal? Well, you're still waiting for the next deal, and theoretically you are changing the current deal every time you're adding teams because you're getting the pro rata increase. Plus, on top of it, and Colorado has been reported many times, we'll get the full deal there, not just the 65% that's coming in the contract from one, but you're also getting the extra that will be kicked in because that's been agreed upon by the TV networks there. So we have that. You will be adding teams. They will kick in an extra $32 million, $31.7 million per team that you're adding here. So if you added 4 or 6 teams, take 31.7 times 4, 5, or 6. That's how much money would be added to the current TV deal, but you're still working off of that contract. It would not be like just rip it up and do it again sort of thing. At least I don't think. I guess Oregon and Washington would maybe be the piece there that could change it if they're really worth that much more. Maybe you get more for them, but I still think you would be negotiating on like an individual basis on what they would bring in. I don't know. I guess I don't know. Maybe I'm out over my skis a little bit on that. But basically, Four Corners, any of those sorts of schools, you're just talking about just throw in an extra $31.7 million to the deal per year and call it good and move on. I see starter 179. Wow, Mandel just tweeted an extremely salty take. Okay, well, let's see if it's something new. Because I had seen one that I read to you guys earlier on in the show. So he says, Stuart Mandel says, freaking realignment got me rate limited. Thanks, Elon. Okay, so there's that. I see that. And then beyond that, he quote tweeted an Andrew Marchand tweet that said, Big 12 also outmaneuvered the Pac-12 by negotiating a clause with ESPN for pro rata if Power 5 schools were added. And Mandel says, arguably the most remarkable aspect of all of this, the Big 12's TV partner is locked in to pay full price for the worst program in the Pac-12. At the same time, the Pac-12 is yet to lock in even $1 for its best programs. Maybe that's what you're referring to, because there's the saltiness coming out and saying the Big 12's TV partner is locked in to pay full price for the worst program in the Pac-12. At the same time, the Pac-12 is yet to lock in even $1 for its best program. I don't, the Pac-12 stuff with that, we read a lot of crap about how great Deion is, how much it improves the brand of the conference and the brand of Colorado. And now it's just very quick to turn back around. And they've turned, the second Colorado's leaving, they're right back into the worst football program in the conference, as opposed to this bright, shiny, new, fascinating object with Deion that's going to add so much value to the league, right? Like that has turned quite a bit. So if that's what the reference was, I definitely get it. Yeah, there's a little bit of saltiness coming in there. There's a little bit of saltiness coming in there for sure. McMuffin, what's up, McMuffin? McMuffin says BYU versus Baylor is the new holy war. Sick 'em. Yes, although, hey, this today kind of like opened up the possibility that the actual holy war could be coming back around too. So you might have like holy war and holy war 2.0 with all of those schools. DW2CB, appreciate you being here. Says Deion, quote, I'm truck stopping. Hey, he sure is. That, it's one thing that's been talked about quite a bit. I don't know if like reported is quite the word for it, but you've definitely seen a lot of chatter about it, that Deion supposedly was in favor of the Big 12. You would think like Deion would love to be in Texas for sure. I don't know if you guys know this. He played for the Dallas Cowboys at one point in time. So he's got a Texas connection or two. And I think for Colorado recruiting purposes, that would really help them out. I feel like that was a Wilner article that was sort of the tone of his article yesterday. It was like Colorado's got an identity crisis where they, their alums are more out in California. They kind of fit that vibe a little bit more, but the recruiting lifeblood of their program they'd be better served to be recruiting in Texas. So they're sort of caught between these two worlds. So I think, yeah, for Deion, that probably works out better. Man, Oregon State fans, I see angry, appropriately named wet blanket Oregon State fan in here. Oregon State at least has won national championships, unlike K-State. Look, I've got nothing against Oregon State. I'm just, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just giving you the reality of the situation. And by the way, if my conference had hired George Kliavkov as its commissioner instead of Brett Yormark, my school would be in the same position you are, man. My school would be in the same position you are. I understand. I have in no way try to insinuate that like K-State has a real superior brand to Oregon State. Like that's not, I'm not trying to do that. I feel for you. It sucks. But don't take it out on me just because I'm saying Oregon State is not going to be a part of the Big 12. Like I blame the TV networks that aren't going to pay for that. I don't know what you want, man. Don't come after me for that. Don't come after me for that. All right, I was trying to read in the chat here, like if there were people that had their questions that they wanted to get back to me if I missed them because of the damn chat screwing up on me tonight. So I'm going in. See someone, it's a good idea if you have the scripted post pop up on your screen one at a time. Well, so I mean, if I click it, it pops up and it will stay there like one of the, but there were more chats coming up there for a while than could even fit on the screen. Like I just had no chance, man. I had no chance unless I'm completely misunderstanding what you're saying, but you can click the bubble and it pops up and stays there. But then that's just one. I can't keep like 20 of them going at the same time. So my apologies there. We're going to have to be a little bit quicker on the trigger if we have loaded chats like tonight. But seriously, if you guys did donate and it skipped over your donation, if you like tag me in your chat, like at John Kurtz, it at least pops up with a little yellow bar that makes it a little bit easier to see. So I guess we're going to operate on the honor system here as we go with a super, super long show tonight. But if that happened to you, hit me up with that and I will try to make it better. I think I want to say, God, there was someone, who did I see there? Daniel. I thought I saw Daniel, my guy Daniel had donated there too. Cat fan in Huskerland, Daniel Osborne. I'm pretty sure I saw that he had donated in there, and that was one of them that I missed. So I'll try to give him a shout out there. I much appreciate your support as always. I see John Y the negative on Oregon State. Other sites are saying differently. Who's saying differently on Oregon State? Give me example. Who is saying Oregon State is going to the Big 12? Give me somebody. Eric, what's up, Eric? Eric says, we did it, John. I'll get you a beer in Boulder. Hey, cheers to that, my friend. Cheers to that. Eric, I will see you there in Boulder for sure. Love the old school Cats logo that you've got going on there. John, this is, I do, John, this is how you see the full chat. Yeah, you're right. Now I'm having to slow down to see the full chat. Chat disappearing like Colorado in the pack. That's good. That's a good message. Strong. Laughing at Mandel. Super chat got missed. Okay, David. I see David says my super chat got missed. David Edge. Shout out to David Edge. Hit me up later on with what your question or comment was, but for now I will at least just give you a shout out for your support of the channel. Thank you, my friend. Sorry that the chat did that to you tonight. Perhaps if I got StreamYard going, which I've been encouraged to do as well, and I need to do that will make this a little bit easier also. We'll have to see, but yes. Thank you for your support, David, and thank you for letting me know that it got missed there. Starter 179, I appreciate you, man. Starter 179 says my other chats disappeared, but I don't mind paying more. Hey, thank you, Starter 179. Really appreciate that and appreciate your support. Starter 179 says, let's consider we now have Dallas, Denver, Houston, Tulsa, Kansas City, Orlando, and Pittsburgh TV markets. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like building out to Brett Yormark's vision. He wanted to be coast to coast. He wanted to be in huge markets. I think if you asked him, that's why, he'd love to add NYC to that list, whether you agree with that or not with UConn, like whether you agree with that or not, that it would actually carry some part of NYC. You're like kind of sneaking in there a little bit, I suppose. But you're right. There are some pretty big markets there, man. When you added Orlando and Houston, and then, I would throw in Salt Lake City for BYU as well. Which that's a very aggressively, I think it's like Utah and Arizona are two states that are growing at a pretty aggressive pace, right? And so then if you're adding Arizona, you get into Tucson too. I mean, I guess the bigger prize there would be if you grabbed Arizona State and you could try and claim Phoenix. But yeah, you're starting to stack some nice markets. You really are. God damn this chat. I'm sorry. Hopping ahead on me again. Oh, Wet Blanket says, John, Oklahoma State here, buddy. Okay. Got it, Wet Blanket. I see that. Someone says Wet Blanket made 365 mad. Wet Blanket, you're making everybody mad. I see a ton of people are reporting Oregon State. Wet Blanket, give me a specific example. I'm seeing a lot of you guys saying a lot of people are reporting Oregon State. Give me the specific example. Matthew Hunsaker says Greg Pflugar is going to be spiking footballs all week. Yeah, that's another guy that definitely deserves a little bit of a a victory lap here. Of course, a lot of his battle has been against the, I don't know, whatever, the smiley face Big Ten person. I don't know as much about what's going on there, but Pflugar has been pretty in line with all this, man. And the thing, like the Colorado saga was such a saga there for a while where it felt like they got really close to it. They got up to the line and then didn't quite do it. And so for some, like his credibility takes a hit there because he had been talking about what was going on behind the scenes and then it didn't quite come to fruition. Now it did come to fruition and he does definitely get to be right on this. Just like, I mean, he's the guy that, pretty famously had put out there the USC UCLA thing months before it actually happened. So shout out to Greg Pflugar. All right, I see Jeremy. Oregon State is Big 12 bound. Just wait and see. Swain. Okay. Well, okay. I'll just leave it at that. All right. I see your one person there. Monty Show is saying Oregon State. Monty Show saying Oregon State. Okay. I'm seeing multiple people saying Monty. Okay. McMuffin says Monty Show said it. Now people won't stop talking about it. Okay. So the Monty Show. Look, I'll be honest. I am not familiar enough with the Monty Show to know the track record of accuracy on this stuff. I'll just to be completely transparent with you there. I have not followed it very much at all. So I don't know. I don't know how to trust it. Look, Jeremy, I don't, whatever. I'm not even going to address that. You guys, I've said it 100 times. I don't hate Oregon State. I just see no scenario where they're going to get the full 100% share added to the conference. Trying to brainstorm here what the scenario is. If Oregon is coming and they staple themselves to that and you get a little extra bump for Oregon and then less for Oregon State, it evens itself out. I don't know. Is that the solution? Is that the path there? We skipped ahead. I see a bunch of clowns. The chat, I tell you what, reading the actual chat here the whole time because one, we're in kind of bonus hours here on the show, and two, I screwed up and the chat hopped over all the super chats that people had thrown in that I missed. It is wild to read this back and forth, all of you guys. Garrett Smith, Washburn to the Pac-12, hashtag SCOBODS. Washburn to the Pac-12. Washburn is based in Topeka, Kansas, for all of you who are wondering what exactly is going on there. I kind of doubt that one, Garrett, but hey, maybe. I don't know. You could be landing the Topeka market. You could land the Topeka market. That would be great. Okay, so I see the Monty Show says Oregon State could be trying to join the Big 12 is what Justin says. So that's a little bit different than that Oregon State is coming to the Big 12. Jeremy says, John, if Oregon State gets back into the Big 12, you need to bring back the light switches for at least tonight. If Oregon State gets into the Big 12, yes, I will bring back the light switches for at least tonight. I'll take down the Mahomes Magic Crunch for at least one show in honor of Oregon State if that happens. Look, I would be happy for Oregon State if that does happen. And if it turns out that somehow it gets the Big 12 still a full TV share on you get 31.7 per year for them coming and it doesn't cost the league any money, that'd be great. That'd be great. I've never been to Corvallis. I would love to go to Corvallis. I've only been to Oregon once in my life. So nothing against them. I just don't think that is something that is likely to happen. Okay, Chase. I see Chase. Chase, I missed your super chat. Thank you, Chase, for getting back at me here. Chase says, John, this is what my super chat said. Can you get Jason Shear on the pod and crack a beer for all the hell the both of you had caught the last year? Also, the Monty Show was saying Oregon State. Okay, thank you. I could try to get Jason Shear. I'll be honest, I've just never really had any direct interactions with him. I very much appreciate his work and what he's done. I find him very entertaining and informative with what he does on Twitter. I haven't actually read his boards, but just looking at his Twitter account has been wildly entertaining. And I appreciate him for keeping it real, man. He's just been a guy that's been keeping it real, not he has been telling some hard truths, I think, to Pac-12 fans, even though he's a guy that's not super biased toward the Big 12. Obviously, he just wants what's best for Arizona. But he's been nails in this. He's been really good. So, look, I would love to have a chat with Jason Shear at some point in time. And I don't even think it's fair. He's taken a lot more crap than I have. I don't think it's fair to lump me in with Jason Shear necessarily on that. That guy's taken more arrows and more bullets than I have because he's been more out there with the information. Like when you're playing the information game, you're just gonna hear it a lot more from people, and so that's what's happened with him. Jeremy on Oregon State, yes. See, someone says Oregon State does get you into the late night time zone. Yeah, it does. It does, and that is something that your mark has wanted. So I get. Look, maybe if the TV networks go for it, maybe I shouldn't have been as definitive in saying that they're not getting in. But I would bet dollars to donuts. That's a phrase, right? I don't. That's not a phrase. I just have a hard time seeing it happening. Karsten, what's up, Karsten? Karsten says, Guten Morgen, Herr Kurtz. Very much appreciate your content. Keep up the great work and greetings to Juan. Go Cougs. Hey, shout out to Juan. I saw Juan on Twitter earlier today. He was getting involved in all the hubbub that was going on. Guten Morgen. So is that German, I assume? Yep, German for good morning, as I suspected. Appreciate that, Karsten. Thank you. Love hearing a little international flavor on the chat here. It's happened before. And I'm happy that we're getting in here again. Starter 179. What's up, Starter 179? Starter 179 says, is it checkmate? Pac-12 can't add SDSU because they can't afford the buyout, and SMU can't afford their buyout. What can the Pac-12 do? I don't think SMU. Yeah, I don't know that SMU is really much of a factor in this now. Like San Diego State would seemingly be the easy ad to swap out for Colorado. And again, I'll say I will be very interested to see if that's the way that the Pac-12 is going to try and maneuver this right now. Pac-12 can't add San Diego State because they can't afford the buyout. Yeah, and they would have to wait the extra year too for San Diego State. You're right. That is a complicating factor in this now, because they missed the deadline, obviously quite famously. It's been discussed ad nauseum here on this channel how that deadline was missed. So it would be pretty tricky. It would be pretty tricky to get that in there at some point. Okay, so Monty said it was because Oregon State called a Board of Regents meeting today and voted, and we're having talks with the Big 12. Okay. Trying to see if I missed anybody else's super chat. We're running out of time here. If I missed your super chat earlier, if it got eaten up by the great chat tragedy of today, please let me know. Please let me know here before I go, and I will make sure that I get your super chat read there. And if I did miss it again, DM me on Twitter at JLKurtz. Let me know. I'll make sure to work it in. We could start with some for the next show. I will make it up to you. I will make good for you. I am definitely not here to screw anybody out of that. So, Provo Cougar fan, Utah is poop emoji, and will be Chase the Giant. Is that a potato? And will be Chase the Giant potato in Boise. All right. Provo Cougar fan says Utah is poop emoji and will be headed back to the days of playing Boise State in football in a conference game. So BS 90% of Utah fans give the other 10% a bad name. Carson, what's up, Carson? If the Pac-12 falls apart, what happens to the ACC? Well, I guess that ACC Pac-12 scheduling alliance would just never happen, huh? I mean, what? Crazy. You know, we saw like 3 different iterations of that being a pipe dream from Pac-12 country. And what a shame that would be if we never get the alliance. I mean, I'm not even talking about the official alliance that, lasted all of like 4 months. I'm talking about like the other alliance, like, hey, just schedule teams, link up there. We saw so many different iterations of that never actually happened. What happens to the ACC? I think the ACC is pretty independent of what's going on with the Pac-12. I would think. I don't know if is there like a chance someone, the problem with the ACC is, does the grant of rights get blown up then, and teams, you'd be losing teams potentially if you're trying to add teams as well. They may be kind of stuck. I think they're still acting independently, but whether or not that means that it's totally stable in the ACC, I don't know, because we now are well aware that there are a bunch of schools, a handful of schools that have already like actively tried to get out. And so they're just ready and waiting. So we'll definitely still keep an eye on it. But I don't think unless I'm missing something here, my perception is not that this would have an immediate impact on what's happening in the ACC. Matt, what's up, Matt? Matt says, I love the channel and your content. As a BYU fan who has experienced a lot of the Utah will bring a massive net negative to the Big 12. So toxic. Lots of BYU hate here for sure. Lots of BYU hate. Lots of Utah hate. Lots of Utah hate. I will admit, I've tried. I listened to the Utah fans that got on me and said, like, look, you're paying too much attention to the most loud internet fans. Some people are coming back around on the Big 12. Don't judge by just the loudest, obnoxious internet fans. And I'm trying to be a little more patient and understanding there, because it is true, fan bases that's going to be the loudest. Look, K-State's we've got some pretty vocal folks on K-State Twitter, so I get it. And Utah's in a situation where they have not had the biggest brand in the Pac-12, but they probably have had the best football program in the Pac-12 here in recent memory. So I understand how you get that fight and the willingness to always try to stand up for what it is that your program is when you've been a little bit overlooked like that. So I get it. I'm trying to be a little more empathetic, show a little more empathy to the Utah fans, but I have seen it. I have seen the toxic negativity from some of them for sure. Oh, congrats to the Big 12 from a Virginia Tech fan. I like that. Anybody else? Did I miss a super chat from anybody else? What else do you have to do on the eve of the apocalypse, John? I've got to eat. I'm hungry. I got to eat some dinner. I got to get to bed. I wake up early, folks. CrossFit class at 6:30 a.m. Okay. The Yates 27. What's up, the Yates 27? The Yates 27 says Robbins can say whatever. The pressure will mount. I agree with that. Like, the pressure is definitely going to mount on Arizona, especially now, as someone pointed out earlier, like, how did the TV negotiations change with Colorado leaving? I'm sure it will get trickier. It's probably going to just expand the wait time here, and it will get much more. It will turn into much more of a pressure cooker for him, for sure. Much more of a pressure cooker. I agree. Eric, great question. Eric, what are the Pac-12 survival odds? Yeah, Wilner had said he was going to get us some new Pac-12 survival odds shortly. That's got to be coming, right? I'm very, very curious to see what the new Pac-12 survival odds are. Very, very curious. Very, very curious. I don't know what. Let's guess here. What do we think the Wilner Pac-12 survival? I still think he'll hit us with like a minus 1.5 maybe. It'll be like Pac-12 survival is still a 1.5 point favorite here at this point. That's kind of what I'm feeling. I'm sure it will still be a number where survival is the favorite. That would be my guess. The Yates 27. What's up, the Yates 27? Let's go, John Kurtz. Let's go, Mountaineers. Hey, appreciate that. Love it. The Yates 27. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your support. Matt Moon. What's up, Matt Moon? Matt Moon says, when I talk about Utah toxicity, I mean the admin. Okay. Matt Moon is talking about the admin at Utah. That is something I really can't speak to. I don't know enough. I don't know enough about the administration there at Utah to really have much of a comment. My experience has just been with Utah fans. Okay, I think I'm going to cut it off there. There's a lot going on. Who knows? Depending on how things are going here, I may hop on and try and do another live chat tomorrow. We'll see. Maybe that could be a way to try and make it up to some folks. I really do. I sincerely apologize. Like, I appreciate all the support you guys give me. It really kills me to have you guys give your hard-earned money and then have it skip over and I'm not able to read your super chat. So again, if I did miss anything, DM me on Twitter at JLKurtz. Well, we'll figure out a way to make it right. And this will also motivate me to try and get the StreamYard situation figured out and try and get you guys a little bit better of a product here with the live chats. But man, we had to hop on and do the damn thing tonight. An hour and 40 minutes. What a day. We're here. Colorado headed to the Big 12. Watch that. Let's all hop on. 4:00. We can all hop on and watch that board meeting tomorrow. We can hop on and watch the board meeting live. So let's get it going. Thank you guys. Spread the word about the channel. Tell your friends and family. Word of mouth, social media, Facebook, Twitter. Instagram, Threads, whatever it is that you're using. Let people know if there are fan groups of the team that you follow, of Big 12 fans. Post these in there. Let them know about what's going on here at the channel. Let's continue to grow this thing. Appreciate everybody who was here. If you are new here, because we had such a huge audience, if you were new here, I'm live on Wednesdays and Sundays. I give you content throughout the week as well. Outside of that, please hit the like button. David literally just donated to say, tell people to hit the like button. Go Baylor. Thank you, David. Hit that like button on your way out as well. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Click the bell so you get alerts. You know when I'm going live on Wednesday and Sunday. Conference realignment content, college football, college basketball from a Big 12 slant here on this channel. I'm on Twitter at JL Kurtz. I'm sure a lot of you will be over on Twitter yourselves. Appreciate you guys for being here, Big 12 fans. These are good times, man. These are good times. Much better than we thought 2 years ago. So all about some perspective there. It's been fun sharing it with you here today, and I will talk to you all soon. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday evening.